a bottle of wine as our gift.
Guys, it's one-stop shopping.
This year, more than ever, Williams Jewelers in Cherry Creek North.
And Williams Jewelers in Inglewood at Bellevue and Broadway.
We're Denver's first family of fine jewelers.
And your one-stop Valentine's store.
Williams Jewelers, we can make diamonds a part of your life.
Williams Jewelers, the official jeweler of the Colorado Avalanche.
Discover incredible savings at the Mountain High Appliance Clearance Center in Denver. I'm Brad Barnett, president of Mountain High Appliance. Our clearance center offers a huge selection of ranges, refrigerators, laundry, and more. Save up to 60% on open box, scratch and dent, display models, and overstocked appliances from Bosch, Thermador, KitchenAid, and many more. When you're looking for great deals on appliances, our clearance center is your go-to destination for the best prices and selection.
Mountain High Appliance, your favorite appliance store.
Thank you.
Between groceries, travel, and higher prices, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, especially if you're already relying on credit cards to cover the basics. If that debt is piling up, you're not alone. If you're a homeowner, you might have considered reaching out to American Financing, but hesitated because you don't want to give up your low mortgage rate. That's why American Financing created the Smart Equity Loan, a simple, smart way to get your finances back on track without giving up your low mortgage rate. Unlike a HELOC, which can fluctuate with the market, the Smart Equity Loan offers a fixed rate, so you'll have one predictable monthly payment. It lets you use your home's equity to pay off high-interest debt, free up your cash flow, and still keep your existing mortgage intact. There are no upfront fees to find out how much you can save. Call 303-695-7000. That's 303-695-7000, or visit them online at AmericanFinancing.net. NMLS 182334, NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Okay, does this happen to anybody else? You sit down with a juicy QPC, some McNuggets, and those golden fries from McDonald's. Then you take a long sip of your Sprite because you can still hear your mama saying, "Don't fill up on that drink before you eat your food." But you're grown now, so you do what you want.
Share and share alike with the 20-piece McNuggets from McDonald's for just $6. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Are your investments in the right accounts? What's best, traditional or Roth? Are you receiving all available tax deductions? Are you paying as little in tax as you can? These are all questions you can't afford to get wrong. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth, and in many cases, it's not what you make, but it's what you keep that makes the real difference. Trajan Wealth and Trajan Tax work closely together exclusively. No more guessing about whether you should do a Roth conversion, or if maxing out your 401k is really the best option. Our nationally recognized fiduciary advisors and CPA team work in tandem to make sure your tax strategy works with your investment strategy. We'll even do your tax preparation. One team, one strategy. Isn't it time for a second opinion? Call Trajan today, 720-204-8100. That's 720-204-8100.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
Nothing brings friends and family together on game day like delicious King's Hawaiian Sliders. Bring them to the big game table and be the real MVP. Football and King's Irresistible Hawaiian Sliders. There's nothing like it.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Welcome to Denver Sports Tonight, taking a look at the biggest stories in Denver sports from your online home for the best opinions and information on the Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rockies, and more. DenverSports.com.
And it is Denver Sports Tonight on this Thursday night in the Mile High City. He's Anilo Pirro. I'm Will Peterson. We will roll with you for the next hour. Nuggets make a trade today. Kind of a minor trade, but it had a bigger goal. We'll get into that. The Avalanche have officially reached the Olympic break. 8 different players representing 5 different countries will be competing in Italy starting next week. But we begin with kind of a quiet Broncos day on Radio Row, Anilo. Obviously, Nick Bonito, Pat Surtain made the rounds. I saw Troy Franklin was out there today. The guys at the Pro Bowl. But you have the NFL honors tonight, and handful of Broncos nominated. We can get into some of those. It does, to me, feel like, though, maybe there's this sense that quieter is a little better right now from the Broncos. Yeah, Bonito made headlines, and Surtain made headlines, and Dante and I got into those comments last night, but you did just lose the AFC title game. Do you need to go be pushing some product on Radio Row? I feel like in years past, because they've been bad, everyone's at Radio Row. I think this year maybe there's a little bit of notion of, guys, we should be in this game, not out here just talking about this game. What do you make on that?
Yeah, I hear you, but I also think at this point in time, like, that stuff is just a formality. Like, I was listening to some national sports talk earlier today doing some work, and, like, Josh Allen's peddling, like, sleep number mattresses and all this kind of stuff. Like, these guys are going to go out there and get a bag, right?
Trevor Lawrence was there. Derrick Henry was there.
Christian Watson I heard from as well. Like
Christian McCaffrey. There was huge names out there.
Yeah, it's just kind of a formality. So let's not act, and I'm not saying you said this, right, but it's not uncommon for the Broncos, despite the circumstance, to go out there and make a little bit of bread on the side, right? We saw Pat Surtain and Nick Bonito with Kay Adams a couple of days ago as well. I mean, what I always like to say, I've been to the last 3 Radio Rows covering the Super Bowl. Obviously, I'm broadcasting with you tonight, so I'm not here this season. But it is the equivalent of a sports media convention, right? Like if you work in the restaurant industry, they have the big expo out there in Las Vegas. If you work in suit and tie industry or whatever, there's a convention for every type of commodity and business out there. And there's a lot of people that don't necessarily cover football that are out there. I was listening to an interview today, and I know he was a football player, but you hear from Bo Jackson, right? You hear from just different legends in different sports doing different things. So it's essentially a meeting of the sports mind out there in San Francisco and every single year in Media Row. But I'm not going to say it's not a good look, because if I was a player, if I was Nick Bonito and Pat Surtain and X company wanted to offer me X amount of dollars to go talk about their product for 30 seconds, I'm probably doing it.
Yeah, no, I get that. I guess I'm more talking about Bo Nix and Sean Payton. Like
Sean hasn't been there yet.
Sean is not. I chatted with Zach and Phil a little bit about that at the end of the drive, and then Bo, what's he going to do? Go take his scooter around? I don't know. So I think obviously for Bo, the AFC title game loss has got to be incredibly raw because he didn't get a play. And I think for Sean, it's got to be incredibly raw because he had some questionable decisions that day. What do you make, too, of the play calling lack of clarity with Davis Webb and Sean Payton? Because that's become a hot topic that everyone's asking all the media members out there. Is Sean going to hand it over? Is he not? And even these top insiders, like Ian Rappaport was making the rounds today. He said, well, it'll be interesting to watch. That's code for Ian doesn't know. And that doesn't mean Ian's not doing a good job. That means, in my eyes, a decision truly probably hasn't been made yet.
Yeah.
Which it would be weird, because if Davis Webb could have gotten control of offenses elsewhere, don't you just pack up your suitcase and go without that promise from Sean Payton?
Yeah, every time I've been asked this question, both on the air and off the air, my response is the same, which is, I'll believe it when I see it, with respect to Sean Payton giving up play calling. And it's not because I don't think he can or will. I just think that's his pride and joy, right? That's how he's made his name, and it's his bread and butter as a coach and a play caller in the NFL. But if we're going to read between the lines here, I believe it was Ian Rappaport that put out the report, I believe, last week, talking about how they were interested in Joe Brady to be the offensive coordinator along with play calling responsibilities. So if we take that for what it's worth, you'd imagine that conversation has at least taken place. And if you're willing to give Joe Brady play calling, why would you not be willing to give it to Davis Webb, a guy that served as a really nice buffer between Sean Payton and Bo Nix and simplifying the game plan and the play calls as a whole? I don't think I guarantee you that'll probably be the first question Sean gets asked the next time we meet with him locally here as well.
Yeah, or out at the NFL Combine or owners' meetings, right, or whatever's
He's
up
not going to
next.
comment, though.
But, well, he's probably going to say we haven't made a decision yet, or we'll see how that shakes out. And let me give you some retort on the Brady, because I have a couple thoughts there. One, the potential for Brady to get play calling to lure him to Denver could have been, obviously the guy was always going to take the head coaching job in Buffalo if he was offered it, but it could have been just a resume thing, right? They may say, Joe Brady, you've got the resume to do this. Whereas Davis Webb, hot, young, rising star, he's called plays in exactly one preseason game. So that could have been a big thing there is, yeah, Davis Webb, trendy, cool, fun. He's still 30 years old, right? He hasn't proved it in this league at the level like a guy Joe Brady has. So I think this notion that Broncos fans just assume, oh, yeah, Davis Webb had to get play calling duties or he was gone. We should know Sean Payton well enough by now to know he's a stubborn you-know-what. Was he really just going to give up his baby that easily to a 30-year-old? Not so sure. I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Joe Brady's 36 years old. Davis Webb is 31. So I know there's a handful of years between the two. But
how many seasons have they called plays?
Right,
too?
But here's where I would counter, and correct me if I'm wrong here. I think Davis Webb had more head coaching interviews this cycle than Joe Brady did. So if you're looking at it from future head coach, future leader of a team perspective, I think Davis Webb checked a couple more boxes than that of Joe Brady. I think the promotion I mean, Joe Brady was obviously calling plays out there in Buffalo because Sean McDermott was a defensive guy, but I don't know exactly what approach. I don't know if Denver could take a split approach of like Sean calls plays sometimes, Davis doesn't. Maybe they work on the game plan together and they're both in Bo's ear to a certain extent with the headset. Here's where I'm at. I would be surprised if Davis Webb, I don't want to say has complete control of play calling, but he's going to have a significant influence moving forward. And here's the other point of it too, with respect to Webb versus Joe Brady and staying here if it was a guarantee or not. This is a place you want to be. We've heard it not just because of the team and Bo Nix and the coaching staff, but because of the Walton Penner ownership group. We've heard about that time and time again about how they've turned this franchise around from an outsider's perspective, how it's such a good place to work, a place that you want to play, a place that you want to coach. So I do think the comfortable aspect of it from Davis Webb may have factored into his decision as well, outside of just play calling and responsibility.
Definitely, but I think even if you had a latte with Sean Payton tonight, wherever in the world Sean Payton might be, or tomorrow morning, whenever, never a bad time for a latte, I don't think he's made up his mind.
I would agree with you on that.
I think people think it's some foregone conclusion. Either Sean's not giving it up or Davis is taking it over. I think it's February 5th, and the answer still remains somewhere in the middle.
And would we be surprised if Sean is very reluctant to give up that play calling? But here's the
I
other
wouldn't be
question.
surprised. I would think that would literally keep him awake at night.
And you and I had the conversation, and I agree with you on that point, about Bo Nix last week when we were on the show, emerging as a leader, a vocal leader of this team. What happens if Bo Nix waltz into Sean's office or in a meeting says, hey, I like the way that Davis presents these plays. I like the play calls that Davis gives me. And I'm not saying necessarily put his foot down to Sean, but recommend to him, hey, I think I can get more out of myself and this team and this offense with Davis calling the plays or running the show offensively and you being a tried and true head coach.
I think Sean would say, you know what? I appreciate the boldness, Bo. But last time I checked, and I know we're on YouTube, I'm here and you're here on the totem pole. And for the radio folks, the head coach is still above the quarterback on the totem pole. And he says, and if you really want to fight me on this, we can go talk to Greg. Of course, meaning Mr. Penner, and we'll let him decide. And what's Greg Penner going to decide? That I got to go with Sean because I don't know this for a fact, but a lot of those big-time corporate guys are chain of command, right? And they really love the chain of command. And the chain of command says that Sean Payton is above Bo Nix, and it doesn't matter who Bo wants to call the plays. If Sean assigns himself the play caller, Greg Penner would ultimately side with him. Again, just a gut feeling.
Yeah, but who's more important to the next 5-10 years of the Denver Broncos, Sean Payton or Bo Nix?
Okay, but then it sounds like, and I appreciate the question, but then it sounds like you're saying that Bo has now transcended his head coach. And I would argue there's maybe one or two quarterbacks in the league that have reached that point. And even still, putting Mahomes above Reed is tough because it's Andy Reid, right? Josh Allen, is he above Joe Brady? Maybe, because Joe's the new guy. But Lamar Jackson, he's going to have a new coach? Maybe.
Joe Burrow, right?
But in the history of the league, how many times was the quarterback undoubtedly bigger than the head coach?
Not very often, but I'd say the landscape of the league is changing, right? You hear all about this player empowerment and players first. Not that it's a bad thing whatsoever, but the player has had more command and control of an organization and just the thoughts that come with that than ever before. And we've talked about...
But has Bo reached that level through just 2 years?
I don't know. And I think that's what we're going to find out. And that's where I go back to the last, week and a half with the conversation of Bo calling his own press conference and just, not agreeing completely with what Sean Payton had to say with respect to the injury.
Clarifying that thing.
Yes,
for sure.
clarify, 100%.
Yep.
But I don't know, man. And I go back to the answer that Greg Penner gave of, he's the owner, and he'll insert an opinion when he feels like it's necessary to. And I agree with you. These corporate guys tend to go rank and file and all that kind of stuff. But you also start to have to kind of have the conversation. I'm not saying Sean is not for long here in Denver, but his style of coaching isn't as popular as it was when he was first coming up in the ranks. You look at LaFleur, you look at Sean McVay, you look at McDonald out there in Seattle, who I know is a defensive guy. I'm just saying it's not as night and day as it was head coach chain of command as it used to be.
No, that's fair. You're very spot on there. I remember, one of the only times in Denver it's ever happened was, of course, John Elway and Dan Reeves, right? And they eventually picked Elway and Reeves moved on. And then I'd argue with Peyton Manning, certainly not the case when Gary Kubiak was here, because we remember Gary obviously benched him, and there's the infamous Peyton flashed him the bird, walking off the practice field kind of thing.
What a time that was.
But with Foxy, I think Peyton Manning was running the show a little more so than John Fox, particularly when he's throwing 55 touchdowns. So there are a couple examples in Denver over the years. with John and Dan and Payton and Foxy, but it doesn't happen all that often. So one to keep an eye on. And then, of course, the other $1 million question with the Broncos right now is big splashes in free agency. And I think people are going to say, isn't it early to be talking free agency? No, not when your team goes to the AFC title game. It'll be here before you know it. Literally, free agency will be here in 5-6 weeks. It's going to be
quick.
here in the early to mid part of March. And I think my mind wants to go to receiver, Anilo, but I'm actually going to go to running back. I'm actually going to go to running back, and sort of this $1 million question, is J.K. Dobbins worth re-signing for the Broncos? Or do you just draft a couple more because it's a young man's position? Or do you make a splash somewhere else in the free agency market? What's your early read on whether or not the Broncos should bring J.K. Dobbins back?
Selfishly, I want J.K. Dobbins back because he's a great quote in the locker room,
He's a
which
really
makes
nice
my
guy.
job a little bit easier on a
really
day-to-day
nice guy,
basis.
and he'll tell you what's on his mind.
Look, I actually think to answer it another way, I think it comes down to what's your confidence in R.J. Harvey. Because R.J. Harvey's the rookie they drafted out of UCF. And R.J., I would say, to be fair, had an up-and-down season. There was moments where he looked like he could be the running back of the future for this team. There was other moments where not so much. But is that because of R.J., or is that because of play calling? Is it because of schematics? Right, we'll see how that kind of shakes out. The one thing that I think is undeniable is the impact that J.K. Dobbins had when he was on the field. And there's a reason why the Broncos waited as long as they did to sign J.K. Dobbins in the first place. There's a reason why J.K. Dobbins was available when the Broncos pulled the trigger to bring him in. So I would not hate – I don't think there's a bad scenario where J.K. Dobbins is back. I think J.K. Dobbins is here. That's a good thing for the Broncos. I think you can also make up some ground if you were not to bring him back, but he fits the culture of this team and made a tremendous impact when he was healthy and available. I just don't think you can rely on J.K. Dobbins to be your featured every single down back.
Okay. I think I agree with you on that, but for all the injury history, I think there's just too much upside with a guy like J.K. Dobbins. We saw it in 10 games.
That's
We
where
saw
I'm
it.
at.
I mean, he was the best Broncos running back since the guy whose chair you're sitting in right now, Philip Lindsay. It had been
Long
6-7 years since the Broncos had a running back I trusted that much and was that good. And that sort of is a nice segue into Pro Football Focus, has the top 10 free agent running backs. And J.K. Dobbins is in the top 10. He's not 1, not 2, not I'm going full LeBron.
Right.
He's 8. J.K. Dobbins is 8. Let me run some of these names in front of him by you. And the number 1 name on the list is a guy who's playing in the Super Bowl this weekend, and that's Kenneth Walker III out there in Seattle. Breece Hall checks in at number 2. Travis Etienne from the Jaguars at 3.
Oh, he's a free agent?
Rico Dowdle from the Panthers at 4, and Tyler Algier at 5. Old buddy Javonte Williams at 6. Najee Harris coming off that scary Achilles injury suffered against the Broncos at 7. Any of those names whet your appetite?
I'm a big Travis Etienne guy. I really am. But there was a quote that I heard from him, and maybe it was tongue-in-cheek when he was saying this, but he likes to play in the warm weather, right? And I know we have very nice weather here in Denver outside of that AFC Championship game. I don't know if that factors into the opinion. I know Breece Hall has been a hot commodity with respect to Broncos country. Tyler Algier, I think, is a very interesting name just because I don't think he'd be nearly as expensive as an ETN or a Breece Hall. And this is a guy who, relative to running back conversation, his body's pretty fresh because he was playing behind Bijan Robinson for the last handful of seasons. So it's weird, right? Because there's not a Derrick Henry type of guy of those guys that you listed. I know Broncos country is huge on Breece Hall. I'm not quite there. I think he's a very good running back, but I don't think he'd have the same impact that Derrick Henry had on the Baltimore Ravens when he joined up with them. And because of that, I think it's that by-committee approach. I mean, if you tell me it's a J.K. Dobbins, Tyler Algier 1-2 punch out of the backfield, I'd say it's a pretty formidable group.
And then where's R.J. Harvey fit in
right,
at that
that's
point?
The question.
You just spent a high draft pick on this guy not all that long ago.
Which makes it even more confusing, right? But we talked on this station time and time again, Amarion Hampton, right? And I know he was banged up for his rookie season when he was out there. He made some nice moves. I mean, Travion Henderson, right? And I understand not to pick the draft pick necessarily of Jahdae Barron apart, but there were some legitimate needs that the Broncos needed in the first round last season that they passed on for a premium player at a premium position who was, quite frankly, just a role player on certain down and distances for the Broncos. I mean, if you have Amarion Hampton or Travion Henderson, how different is the conversation we're having right now?
Oh,
completely different.
Probably talking about the Super Bowl.
Right.
Yeah, we're probably previewing the big game on Sunday. Terrell Davis making the rounds at Media Radio Row today at Super Bowl 60. Here's what he had to say on the Broncos bringing in competition to the running backs room.
As great as Dobbins has been, he came in as an injury risk guy, ended up getting hurt, no fault of his own. But, yeah, he was productive. But you can't just have one. I mean, you got to have another guy that's ready to go. And so, again, I'm trying to fill that room up with a bunch of highly competitive running backs, guys that can go now. We're not in the business of waiting for people to develop. It'd be nice if they could, but let's bring as much competition as we can.
So guys that can go now sort of lends credence to your idea of bring back Dobbins, sign Algier, Harvey still in the mix, and then maybe even spend a 3rd or 4th round pick on another one, and then, sorry, Jaleel McLaughlin, sorry, Tyler Bidet, we're going to go in a different direction, but you sort of let those 4, Harvey, Dobbins, Algier, and mystery draft pick X kind of duke it out.
Yeah, and I think it's fair, and I also think to bring it back to the question of some of those upper echelon free agent running backs, whether it be a Breece Hall or a Travis Etienne, right?
Or Kenneth Walker, who's one on this list,
right?
Yep.
What is the faith that if they sign one of those, they're going to utilize them the same way that they've been utilized previously, right? Sean Payton has shown us as a play caller, to bring it back to where we go, if it is Davis Webb, maybe it's a different type of dynamic, but I just don't believe the Broncos need a tried and true Derrick Henry, Kenneth Walker type of running back, because I don't think they're going to utilize them in that type of way, which is why I'd almost rather go the volume approach of an Algier, of an Etienne, along with an RJ Harvey and a J.K. Dobbins, just because it will, as long as Sean Payton is the head coach, and especially as a play caller, it is always going to be a pass-happy offense. So why would you spend big free agent money? And I understand they get the Russell Wilson dead cap off the books this year, so they're going to have a bit more change to play with. Why spend that money big on a running back where, to your point, you can draft one of these guys, you can bring back J.K. Dobbins on a relatively team-friendly deal, and use that money to go after a wide receiver?
All right, so then where would you go with the money? Just receiver, or would you want to go tight end too? Upgrades on defense? I mean, a lot of different areas you could potentially spend this in.
Yeah, I would probably power rank for radio conversation: receiver 1, linebacker 2, tight end 3.
Man, running back not even cracking your top 3.
I just think, because I'm assuming they're going to bring back they're going to get a Dobbins type.
But once he got hurt, that was a huge reason you couldn't win the AFC title game. So why not prioritize
there's more
it in
reasons
free
just
agent?
that.
But it was a big reason. You
Right.
couldn't run the football in the snow. If you had a great running game in the snow, it would have looked a little different.
Because what was Dobbins' last game? When did he get hurt? That was the
Raiders game, the Liz Frank Thursday night game.
Right, they put up 34 points against the Packers without him the next week. They lost to Jacksonville, put up 20 there. You won, and I understand that they didn't.
But that was all Bo going nuts.
Right, but that feeds into my point.
Right.
I in a perfect world, yes, I would think a Kenneth Walker would make a lot of sense. And I'm not saying I'm nearly as smart as Sean Payton when it comes to play calling or roster construction or anything like that. I'm just taking it for what it is. And what Sean Payton has shown us going back to New Orleans and his time with the Denver Broncos is the running back is of the skill positions, if you include tight end, right? I'd say wide receiver is most important, and I guess it depends on you view quarterback. The running back just has maybe the least weight to carry, if that makes sense, in a game-by-game, play-by-play, drive-by-drive basis.
All right, well, then let me hit you with some of these wide receivers on PFF's top list of free agents. George Pickens, interesting name. I know he generates a lot of conversation every time he comes up. They've got Alec Pierce from the Indianapolis Colts very high on this list. Not necessarily a household name unless you play in deeper fantasy leagues, and he can catch some footballs thrown over the top. There's also Mike Evans, and I know injury history and age is going to be a concern, but a guy like Mike Evans has proven it for a long time. He could be very, very good in this league and maybe gets a second wind with Bo Nix, Deebo Samuel as well, kind of another older vet on this list. Where do you look at those names? Because there's not a T. Higgins like there was last year, and I know he eventually got a new deal with the Bengals, but that was a name we hit over and over again. I mean, I just gave you their top 4. If you want their top 5, Jawan Jennings at number 5. Not exactly a bunch of people pounding down the door for any of these, except perhaps George Pickens, which then I think effort and locker room presence can come into question at times.
Yeah, and I go back to what Greg Penner said at his end-of-season press conference of they're going to be somewhat, I forget the exact adjective he used, but one of the things that he said was they've got to be a right fit for the locker room and for this team. I don't think George Pickens is that, right? I don't think they're going to bring in a diva. And I understand people have been up and down on Courtland Sutton with respect to his production on the field, but one thing you can't deny about Courtland Sutton has been his attitude when he is on the field. I understand there was the contract situation and the hold-out, hold-in situation as well, but when he's signed, sealed, and delivered, Courtland Sutton has been a model Denver Bronco and, always has a smile on his face, does the right thing here. So with respect to a George Pickens type, I don't think they're bringing him in necessarily. I believe Romeo Doubs is a free agent for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, he's number
as well.
7 on this list.
Right. And let's address Mike Evans for just a moment, too, because I know I've already seen a couple of texts about Mike Evans. I don't think Mike Evans is going to leave Tampa because that's the only team he's played for in the entirety of his career. They still have Baker Mayfield. They're running it back with Todd Bowles. I don't think Mike Evans is leaving. Would it be a nice addition for Denver? Sure. I just don't think it's a realistic one. Here's what I will say. Whether it's a Pickens, Evans, Dobbs, the other guys, Alec Pierce, you listed, getting a tried-and-true number 1, of which there really aren't many available, I would say, beyond Pickens and Evans, it would lighten the load on Courtland Sutton a lot, and I think it would make Courtland Sutton a lot more effective. I'm just not sure there's a proper fit in this free agent class.
Right, and so in that case, you'd have to make the big trade. Right. And the big trade, if folks just want to dream really big, would be a Justin Jefferson who may be disgruntled in Minnesota, maybe a Jamar Chase if everything falls apart in Cincinnati. Again, just throwing out sort of not ludicrous names because you never say never, but if you really wanted that true one, to your point, it would have to come via trade and not via free agency.
Yeah, but I'm also kind of sitting back here and saying I made the AFC Championship game without a tried-and-true number 1. And if we kick a field goal and have a little semblance of a running game and Jarrett Stidham doesn't fumble the ball backwards, we're probably in the Super Bowl. So you got this close without having that, without having the tried-and-true number 1 running back, without having the top-tier receiver. That's how close this Broncos team is, which is why I think a Romeo Doubs or an Alec Pierce type might suffice.
Yeah, and do you really want to unload a bunch of draft picks to bring in Justin Jefferson? Yeah, it sounds awesome on paper, but are you going to need that depth down the road? Dante Gomez has something for us as well.
Yeah, you guys are talking about wide receiver 1. A lot of the guys you're talking about have been drafted fairly recently. Would you guys be willing to trade up in the draft to take a wide receiver in the top 15 picks, let's call it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great hypothetical. The problem is do you really want to put that much weight on a rookie this quickly on a Super Bowl contender? Hey, we traded up to get you at number 12, just throwing a random number out there. Now you got to come in and be the guy. That's big time pressure.
You don't think that Courtland Sutton helps ease that load as he's been the number 1 for the last handful of years?
Yeah, but is Courtland really going to give up the number 1 title all that easily? Does that then create awkwardness between the vet and the rook?
It's creating like competition like Terrell Davis wants.
Okay. Anila? You want to trade up in the draft to take a look at a wide receiver? Go from 30 to maybe somewhere in the teens?
Yeah, and Dante would know more about the wide receiver class this year in the draft. I mean, I honestly think it comes down to what the compensation is, because I guess what I'm able to rest my head on at night is what I just said, how close this team got without having some of these prized possessions necessarily. And I don't think that means they should be complacent. I don't think that means they should just run it back completely. They need to make upgrades at these positions. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I don't think you have to be desperate to do that.
Guy like Jordan Tyson, usually in top 10s in mock drafts. Carnell Tate as well.
I mean, they're going to have, 30?
The Broncos have 30.
Right. So, I mean,
you got to go pretty far up the board.
It's not like you're sitting there at 22 and you can move up, 7, 8 picks and get yourself in a nice little range here. And wide receivers tend to go in bunches in the draft, too. That's something else to consider.
Dante, it was a good question, so I'll let you answer it yourself. Should Denver look to trade up to take a wide receiver?
I think if you're going to trade up for that, they should have done it last year and traded up for Colson Loveland. I know that's revisionist history, but Colson Loveland is that joker role that Sean Payton's looking for. If you watch any Chicago Bears football this year, especially in the back half of the year, him and Caleb Williams have some sort of connection. He's just a mismatch physically out there.
Yeah, Loveland's a good name, and the other one I was pounding the table for, and I don't think was wrong either, was Tyler Warren. So, no matter what side of the tight end debate you're on, Warren, great rookie year in Indy, Colston, great rookie year in Chicago. All right, well, it's just beginning, but in some senses, it's already begun because it is February 5th. So like I said, free agency will be here before you know it. Coming up next, though, the Nuggets made a trade today. We'll tell you who left town, what you need to know, and relive. Oh, really fun but frustrating finish last night in New York.
The champ! Are you ready?
Do you consider yourself a super fan? Well, now's your chance to prove it. It's Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan Super Fan Send-Off, presented by 303 Law 4040, sending you to Las Vegas for the biggest pro wrestling event in the world. A pair of 2-night event tickets, airfare, and hotel all included, plus a $500 Visa card. So get in the ring and enter now at DenverSports.com/superfan. That's DenverSports.com/superfan.
Hey, Mom. It's me. Oh my gosh, you'll never believe what I just opened for Valentine's Day. A sapphire ring from Helzberg. Just like the one I lost years ago. Remember how excited I was when you gave it to me? I cannot believe you remembered that story. I guess you were right. I really found the one.
This Valentine's Day, create a moment that means something with up to 40% off gifts at Helzberg. Shop in store or at Helzberg.com.
HelloFresh makes home cooking nutritious, delicious, and exciting. You excited when you get those freezer-burnt, pre-packaged meals in the mail? I know I'm not. Go to HelloFresh.com to explore plans and menus because nothing hits like home cooking.
Babe, your arms look amazing. Working out is paying off.
Thanks. I just wish my chest matched. No matter what I do, I'm frustrated with my man boobs.
Hey, don't beat yourself up. More than half of men have gynecomastia. It's gland tissue, not laziness. Same thing is happening to my friend Trisha's husband. He went to Dr. Cameron Dastery at Modern Surgical Arts of Denver.
For real? You get good results?
He got great results. Call him, honey.
Call today. They're offering complimentary consultations for the fan listeners. 303-470-3400 or at modernsurgicalarts.com.
If you're considering sedation dentistry and want to learn more about it, Clarkson Dental can help. When it comes to your health, you want to make sure you know all the details. The highly trained professionals at Clarkson Dental have your answers. Learn more at coloradosedation.com.
Don't miss the best college hockey rivalry in the country. Denver hosts CC Saturday, February 7th at 7 p.m. in Magnus Arena. Presented by McDivitt Law.
Fisher on the move. Fisher into the zone. The shot scores! Fisher scores the first goal of the game.
It will be standing room only, so go to denverpioneers.com to secure your seats now. Wear white to white out CC and Magnus. You create the home ice advantage.
This President's Day, Pure Talk is honoring Jackson and Lincoln by offering unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $25 a month. Meanwhile, Big Wireless is honoring Benjamin Franklin by charging families hundreds of dollars for the same 5G service. What's up with that? Ben Franklin wasn't even a president. When you switch to Pure Talk, you'll be in business with an American wireless company that supports our vets in a big way and keeps all their customer service in this country. That's important. And you'll be on the same towers the big carriers use, so you'll get the same 5G service without the inflated price. So hang on to your Benjamins and switch to Pure Talk for a Jackson and a Lincoln. No contract, no hidden fees. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and you'll get 50% off your first month when you switch. That's pound 250, Mike Rowe, for an American wireless company that is truly unprecedented. Pure Talk.
For many of us, it's happened before. Your hair is thinning, crowns disappearing. Maybe the hair loss has you feeling your identity is lost altogether. The solution that worked for me, it's an incredible yet simple one-day treatment that starts growing your own natural hair the very next day. And it's guaranteed to grow for life. It's the Advanced FUE from Advanced Hair. We've all seen the pills and lotions that come with monthly subscriptions. They help retain what you have, but what if you want your own natural hair permanently in specific areas? From Advanced Hair's state-of-the-art facilities to world-class Dr. Tanya Paul's, it's not maybe your hair will regrow. It's guaranteed that your new hair will grow. You decide how much, how thick, and where. It's why Advanced Hair is the winner of Westward's Best of Denver. For your free consultation, $250 off and 250 free hair grafts, call 720-459-HAIR. That's 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com.
At Berg Simpson, we are passionate about what we do. We bring that passion and our expertise to the office and courtroom every single day. We're always working hard and are committed to doing everything we can to give our clients the best opportunity to have a great result.
If you've been injured, call Berg Simpson for free now at 303-790-2525. 303-790-2525. BergSimpson.com. Good lawyers changing lives. It's not just a slogan, it's who we are.
Hey, the cold weather is here.
Stoke here from my friends at ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Has another company told you that you need a new furnace? Time to throw in the challenge flag. Rocks Heating and Air offers no obligation, free second opinions. And don't forget about heat pump rebates. They've never been better. Up to $13,500 only at ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Now play that Jeep.
HVAC service, installation, repair. ROX Rocks Heating and Air.
It's Denver Sports Tonight on Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan.
All right, we'll get to the Nuggets in a moment, but we've got news coming out of the NFL honors. It's not going to make Broncos country real happy. It didn't make me real happy either. Just announced on the red carpet before NFL honors, Patriots offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels is the AP Assistant Coach of the Year. Not only is it the hated McDaniels who wins the award, not only did the Patriots just beat the Broncos in the AFC title game, but Anilo, this means our guy, Vance Joseph, will not be the AP Assistant Coach of the Year in the NFL. If he had lost it to anyone else, I'd been like, whatever. Lost it to Kubiak, whatever. Flores, he probably deserved it over him, but whatever. Fangio, not a lot of people like Fangio, but there's not the disdain that there is for McDaniels. It's a double-edged here. It's not only VJ didn't get it, it's that McDaniels got it instead.
Unfortunately, I think it's fair. If I'm just keeping it a buck with everybody out there, I mean, you've led this, and I understand they vote on this stuff before the Super Bowl even happens, but May and Stafford all season 1-2 for the most part as MVP candidates. You get the big bad New England Patriots back on the map, right? He's thrived there as an offensive coordinator. Every other stop he's had as a head coach, including here in the Mile High City, has been an absolute disaster. But I mean, Vrabel, I would imagine, is going to win Coach of the Year. We'll see if we get that news before we get off the air here tonight as well. And look, I'm not going to congratulate him because I don't have anything. McDaniels, all that was here before I moved here necessarily, but I think he's deserving to win the honor. Is that a fair thing to say?
Sure, but I think you also appreciate the history of the franchise.
Yes.
And how much McDaniels truly is loathed in Denver.
Oh, 100%.
Also, this one got announced on the red carpet, so at least he doesn't get to go up on stage.
Yeah.
So the MVP, the Defensive Player of the Year, the Coach of the Year, they'll want to do those in the big fancy ballroom and hopefully have him come make an acceptance speech. But this one, red carpet, Josh McDaniels is your AP Assistant Coach of the Year.
Is he the biggest public enemy in Denver sports? Like including Carmelo Anthony?
Oh, well, now you're going to send me down a whole rabbit hole.
No, I'm just curious.
Who's the most disliked figure in Denver sports history?
The two names that come up are Carmelo and McDaniels, at least from a majority of the conversations I've had.
Nolan Arenado gets in there a fair
I don't
amount.
think that one's as much. I covered Nolan. Like I obviously hate how the Nolan Arenado situation went down, but I think that's more malpractice on the organization than it is Nolan.
Yeah, and also this could send us down a rabbit hole because I know there's like an Eddie Kennison, but that's also 30-plus years ago, and I'm not going to speak on it because I don't remember the exact full context. I just know he was super disliked in Broncos country, so I love it, man. Let's save it for a summer night.
Yeah, that's fair.
We can do an
Many
hour
conversations.
On that. Yeah, the text line will light up, I'm sure. I do want to get to the Nuggets making a trade today, though. Shams Charania at 11:52. The Nuggets are trading Hunter Tyson in a 2032 second-round pick to the Brooklyn Nets for the lesser favorable of a Clipper Hawks 2026 second, sources tell ESPN. So Hunter Tyson is off the team, and a lesser favorable second-round pick will be coming back next season, 2026. Whichever team finishes better in the standings, who ultimately has the worst pick, they'll get the team that finished higher in the standings. This is all very convoluted. Anilo, you're one of our best hoops guys at the station. Explain to me why Hunter Tyson got traded today and what else happened.
Yeah, let's try to rationalize this trade for the Denver Nuggets because it's not exactly what meets the eye. You're seeing, oh my gosh, we dumped Tyson for a lesser second-round pick of whatever it ends up being. This trade was made for two reasons. One, it's so Denver and the Kroenke ownership group are able to duck the luxury tax, which is massive for their pocketbook, and I understand it to a certain extent. But two, the actual basketball move that was made here today doesn't involve Hunter Tyson or the second-round pick. It involves clearing up a roster spot for two-way player Spencer Jones, who's been probably the second biggest surprise for the Nuggets this season. I would say the ascension of Payton Watson has been the biggest surprise that maybe I didn't have on my radar necessarily heading into the season. So Denver gets off Hunter Tyson because they essentially had to create a roster spot for Spencer Jones while also ducking the luxury tax in the process.
And I think Spencer Jones has earned that roster spot for the rest of the season, right? This guy came out of nowhere to be a really solid rotation player when the Nuggets were super beat up and still are. Peyton Watson had the unfortunate injury last night against the Knicks. Let's get into that. But I think Spencer Jones has earned this promotion, so to speak. What do you say?
Oh, 100%. And we'll kind of get into this with the Watson conversation. I mean, this is a Nuggets team that has been bruised and battered the entirety of the season. And Spencer Jones has really stepped up, providing valuable, not just bench minutes, but starting minutes in some instances as well. And, he's got those famous LinkedIn posts, which are always fun to get a laugh at as well. But Spencer Jones is more than deserving of a full-time roster spot, not just because of one game, not just because of 5 games, but the entire body of work that we've seen from him this season.
All right, and then last question on this. Obviously, the NBA trade deadline has now come and gone. The Nuggets didn't do anything splashy, but is there still potential for one more move at this point in time?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what they try to do with the free agent market. I know one guy that we had our eye on was Lonzo Ball, who I believe is going to get bought out by the Utah Jazz after he was flipped there. Cam Thomas was just released earlier this afternoon from the Brooklyn Nets. Those are sexy names necessarily. So I would imagine that Denver adds a veteran at some point, given the roster construction they have at the current time. But I don't think it's going to be anybody that moves the needle tremendously.
Yeah, Giannis ain't walking through that door. He did not get traded if you missed it. The Clippers kind of blew it up, but other than that, it felt like there was a lot of trades in Elo, and a lot of trades that it just made me go, that's a guy for a guy. And obviously, Anthony Davis is going to get a ton of headlines, but that's going to get more headlines because of what a failure the Luka trade was than really about people thinking that Anthony Davis is going to the Washington Wizards and is going to win anything significant.
Yeah, I will say I like the move for Washington because remember a few weeks ago they also traded for Trae Young. So I don't think that move is going to impact them whatsoever this season. But I think Washington will be a playoff team next year.
Oh, baby.
I do believe that.
Get your Wizards season tickets now to watch Washington be the 7th seed in the East.
I'm not sure Washington's been relevant my entire life, outside of when they had Jordan for a cup of coffee.
Yeah, I was going to say, when Michael Jordan signed there, that's about the only time.
John Wall was fun, though.
All right, this game last night, man, we got off the air. Dante and I were both watching it as we were doing the show, and it was one of those, it was like, I can't wait to get home and turn on the fourth quarter of this game. Well, little did I know I was in for the fourth quarter, and then a single overtime, and then a double overtime. I have a ton of takeaways from this. I think ultimately the Nuggets ran out of gas in the 134-127 loss. Nikola did that thing, and I love Nikola, but it's going to be the 0.01% time I'm going to criticize him. He got tired, and he just started shooting threes, and he couldn't get those threes to go, even though he did have one at the buzzer in regulation that took about 4 bounces around the backboard and the rim that would have been just, another classic Nikola all-time highlight in Madison Square Garden, a crazy walk-off buzzer beater. But he did finish 1 of 13 from three-point range. Again, I think fatigue's a major issue. He's playing 45 minutes last night when he was supposed to play 20 to 25. That minutes restriction went out the window. But what was your biggest takeaway in a game that the Nuggets definitely could have won? It turned out very entertaining, but also very frustrating.
Yeah, 1-3, in the 4 games that Nikola Jokic has played since returning from injury. I mean, they had a chance to win against Detroit, and then you bring up last night's game. I'm going to pick my lovely mother up from the airport, so I'm listening to it on the drive up there, and I'm like, oh, double overtime. Karl Anthony Towns fouls out. This is where the Denver Nuggets make their play. And that was not the case. And this is a team, Christian Brown was back last night, hit a couple of key free throws there at the end of the game to push it to the double overtime. I don't know if it's just a reacclimation period to getting Nikola Jokic back. I think they're really, really missing Aaron Gordon. I don't know if it's looking ahead to the All-Star break, kind of like the Avs did the last week and a half as well. And Jokic's been fine, but this is not the expected result. And I understand this is against the 3 losses they've had have been against 3 of the best teams in the NBA. The Oklahoma City Thunder, the Detroit Pistons, who are atop the Eastern Conference, and the New York Knicks, who are right behind them. So it's not like they're losing to Washington like they did last season a couple of times. But it's frustrating right now. And you expect Nikola Jokic to be back, that this team is going to be elevated. And this team's going to start winning again. And everything's going to flick the magic wand and away you go. That has not been the case. And losing Peyton Watson in the process, man, that's a devastating injury for this team.
Yeah, we haven't got a hit today with any news about Peyton Watson, but we know he was going to get an MRI. And as we know, the Nuggets have done a lot of going to be reevaluated in 4 or 5 weeks. We'll see if Peyton Watson gets that, keeping our fingers crossed it's not that long. Just to be clear, I thought Nikola was pretty darn excellent last night. 30, 14, and 10, yet another triple-double. I just didn't love him missing 12 threes. That just felt like a lot of wasted possessions for Denver. And I think in that game, too, we got to go glass half full. There was a very questionable, sketchy foul call on the Knicks at the end of the first overtime with 0.3 seconds left, and Christian Brown stepped up to the line and made 2 massive free throws. I thought that was good to see from CB in a year that he's been really down. Maybe that's the moment that flips the switch, building that confidence, knocking down 2 huge free throws in the Garden to send the game to double OT, where if you miss either one, you lose the game.
Yeah, I mean, and you need Christian Brown to get that confidence and swagger back, not just because you paid him, but because he's an integral part to this team this season and moving forward, right? You've got Payton Watson, who's looking at looming restricted free agency, and you've got Christian Brown, who has this mega contract, who hasn't really done anything of substance for the most part for the Nuggets this season. Now, yes, the 2 free throws were great, but you got to get it going somehow. And again, I think we all expect Nikola to come back and Jamal's an all-star and away we go. That just hasn't been the case with this team.
And to your point, Christian Brown, he played 43 minutes last night. He had 6 points. That's just not enough.
Is he going to turn into your new MPJ?
No. I told you, I think this was the fork in the road for him, and making those free throws is going to get things on track. But I'm just sort of giving you some acknowledgement there of the 2 free throws were great. He scored 6 points in 43 minutes.
No, you're 100% right. Can I say this too? I'm officially starting to get, I'm not sounding the alarms, but these injuries are piling up, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like Watson, I know Jokic is back, but
I think you can
Gordon,
sound alarms at this point.
Brown, like I said before the year with Jake, the only thing that can derail this Denver Nuggets team this season is injuries, and it's playing out before our eyes. Now, all that matters is getting healthy and ready to go for the playoffs, but here we are, and it's like one injury after the other at this point.
All right, a lot of folks have thoughts on whether or not the Broncos should pursue a trade for a wide receiver, whether off a different team or moving up in the draft. Let's get to those next.
Do the Broncos need to double down on the tight end position again this offseason?
I'm not interested in garage projects. I'm not interested in blocking tight ends. This team needs playmakers. This team needs weapons. And because of that, you're going to need to get 2. You're going to need to get a free agent, and you're going to need to have a rookie.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Drivers who switch their home and auto with Progressive could save money and time. Other things try to do this, but they really don't. Like the touchscreen at fast food places. It's not like you save time because it takes you longer to use a touchscreen than, I don't know, someone who works there. And another thing, you'd think it would save money because they're not paying a cashier, right? But no, same price. Also, why is there an option to tip? Who am I tipping? Exactly. Anyway, even if you can't save money and time with some things, you could with a Progressive home and auto bundle. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states or situations.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Rain on game day doesn't faze Dave. He's already got his poncho. Just needs to do something about those wipers. So Dave heads to AutoZone,
Welcome to AutoZone.
where a friendly AutoZoner helps him get premium quiet wipers and some hand warmers.
You're all set.
Now, if only his team can handle the elements as well as his new wipers. Get wipers, glass cleaner, and more with no hassles, just help at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Big tax changes this year could mean a bigger refund, and Jackson Hewitt knows how to get you your biggest. You'll get $100 just to try us. That won't make you filthy rich, but definitely gas plus groceries rich. And since we know all the new tax codes, you could get thousands back, which would make you low-key loaded. Or at least wealthy adjacent? Go with our trusted pros and get $100 to switch. Rest easy. Jackson Hewitt's got your taxes. Guaranteed. Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-7098. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-7098. That's 800-575-7098.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Men, it's the new year, and for many of us, it's a time of deciding to make positive changes in our lives. This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, and if you're suffering with erectile dysfunction and are tired of the frustration and embarrassment ED causes, you should call the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic today, because there probably isn't a better resolution you can make than to be done with ED. You see, ED doesn't just affect you, it can also affect your partner, even if they don't talk about it. But here's some great news. If you're like most guys, the treatments at the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic will give you back your sex life, because our protocols have success rates that work in well over 90% of cases. Seriously, you might even find you're performing like you haven't in years. So, make an appointment and get ED out of your life. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 720-440-7900 or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. That's RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. We have 5 offices across the Front Range to serve you.
2026 is shaping up to be an amazing year to buy a home in Colorado. If you've been dreaming about getting into your first place, upgrading for more space, or downsizing for a simpler lifestyle, now is a smart time to start planning. And the first step is easy. Get pre-approved. With American Financing, you can get it done in 24 hours or less, so you'll know exactly what you can afford before you start shopping. Rates have been dropping, home prices are steady, and more homes are hitting the market. You could score the right home at the right price and lock in a monthly payment that fits your budget without stretching yourself thin. And unlike renting, every payment you make goes toward your future, not your landlord's. And here's a misconception we love to bust. You do not need 20% down. Many buyers purchase with as little as 3% down. So if home ownership is on your 2026 goals list, let's make it happen. Call American Financing, Colorado's home for home loans at 303-695-7000. That's 303-695-7000, or visit them online at AmericanFinancing.net. NMLS 182334, NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Stay up to date on the Broncos and the latest news from around the league with our NFL insider James Palmer, exclusively on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Mondays on The Rundown with Richie Carney, Tuesday afternoons on The Drive, and Friday mornings on Stokely and Evans with Mark Schlereth, all season long. Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan, DenverSports.com, and the Denver Sports app. Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan presents Denver Sports Tonight.
Spirited conversation in the first 20-ish minutes of the show about needs for the Broncos, free agency, draft, wide receiver, running back, tight end, linebacker, safety, etc., etc. 979-3 on the RamosLaw.com text line, 303-713-1043. Of course we need a running back, a 4th and 1 guy anywhere on the field. Get a big name, no question. I love the thinking. The problem is we went through the free agent running backs. There's not exactly a lot of big names. Kenneth Walker is the biggest, going to play in the Super Bowl. There's some others that folks may know. I won't reset them all, but I didn't read this text just because the texter agrees with me on running back being a priority, but I am just curious, Danilo, as the conversation has kind of digested for you over the last half hour, do you see why some fans may want to prioritize running back?
Oh, I completely agree with the rationale from the fans. My counter to that, and it's maybe not a counter, the question I just keep asking myself is if they go sign a Breece Hall or a Kenneth Walker, are they going to utilize him the right way? Like, that's the point that I'm trying to drive home is, like, do you want to have, I forget how much they spent on Evan Ingram, but, like, the joke was on us with the Evan Ingram signing. He wasn't a joker for this team, right? It was one of those situations of, like, do you want to find yourself going after a Breece Hall and you get to week 6 and it's like, feed Breece? It ain't going to happen, history's told us. Now, maybe something changes, but I'm just trying to look at it through the scope of the way I feel like Sean Payton is going to handle the offense.
Okay. That's fair. The 6261 says, come on, guys. The Broncos are not moving up to take a wide receiver in the first round, knowing the needs they have at other positions, especially running back, tight end, middle linebacker. They are not taking a wide receiver in round 1, let alone trading up. That would be ludicrous. Hey, it was just a hypothetical that we were reacting to that Dante threw out there that I thought was totally fair. We like Troy Franklin. We like Pat Bryant. We like Marvin Mims. We like Cortland Sutton. Do we love any of them? Is there any current Broncos receiver that you love as a football player? Not for me. I like a lot of them. I think they have pieces here and there, but there's not one that is reminding me of Demaryius Thomas or Rod Smith or even Ed McCaffrey, Emmanuel Sanders. They just don't have that level of beloved nature in Broncos country, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think we could come to love Marvin Mims. Again, if he's utilized properly, big if, question. I think Marvin Mims has all the skill set. Pat Bryant, I think, is an interesting one. I think Pat Bryant has a lot of potential, but if we're taking it at face value, no. There's nobody I love right now.
Yeah, I think Pat's an intriguing project. Do I project Pat Bryant to eventually be in the conversation of the top 15 wide receivers in the NFL? No. And if you're a Super Bowl contender, you should probably have a top 15 wide receiver in the NFL, and the Broncos don't. Not right now. Maybe some would argue Cortland Sutton. To me, he would check in just outside of that. The 3988, Jahdae Barron was a wasted pick when we could have had a player that could have gotten us to the Super Bowl or helped get us to the Super Bowl. You're not wrong, Texter. The numbers on Barron were alarming. He did not get many snaps against the Bills or the Patriots. Now, Jaquan McMillan played out of his mind, had the interception that literally saved the season against the Bills. But that said, some of us tried to say it at the time, first-round corner felt like a luxury pick and not really a need. And yeah, if you insert another player that is at a skill position, a running back or a tight end, maybe we are doing this show from Radio Row in Santa Clara, San Francisco right now.
Yeah, it's a big what could have been. And look, I think Jahdae Barron has a bright future in this league, but you had the reigning defensive player of the year in Pat Surtain. You have Riley Moss, who's a pretty good corner minus the flag and penalty issues, right? Jaquan McMillan has asserted himself. You spent good money on your defense in Talanoa Hufanga and Drake Greenlaw. There were clear holes that needed to be filled on offense. And again, I understand how hard it is to come by these elite-level cornerbacks, and they hope that Jahdae Barron can turn into that. But let's not pretend like Jahdae Barron was that in his rookie season, right? Like I said, he was much more of a specific down-and-distance, certain package type of corner. Didn't have nearly the impact that an Omarion Hampton or a Travion Henderson could have had for this team.
Yeah, no, they put it this way. They do draft grades immediately, and by they, I mean, media. But they'll give it a couple more years, and then that B word, bust, isn't the word you want associated with a first-round pick. I'm not saying he was a bust. It's his rookie year. We're going to give him through year 3. That's the fair way to do it with these guys. But some people after year 1 are not impressed, myself included, and Vance Joseph probably wasn't all that impressed considering that Barron could barely get on the field in the AFC divisional game and the AFC title game.
I mean, how often do we mention Jahdae Barron in the season's worth of shows that you and I did?
I mean, when he got drafted a bunch, but other than that, training camp, not much. Preseason, not much. What do you have, a pick or two maybe?
Yeah, I'm not even sure we mentioned in the DSTs we did in season. I'm not sure we mentioned the name more than a couple times.
No, there was 20-plus guys on that roster, 30-plus guys on that roster that were getting more airtime, which, if you're a 7th-round pick, that's to be expected.
Yes.
But you were a first-round pick, and you just didn't wow anyone in your rookie year. We saw he had a cleanup procedure yesterday, wishing him the best. Don't know what it was, but our own Andrew Mason is reporting nothing serious, standard stuff this time of year. Dante, you going to go home and watch the NFL Honors tonight?
Probably not.
Anilo, you going to go home and watch the NFL Honors tonight?
No, I'm going to go read Game of Thrones.
Go read Game of Thrones?
Yeah, I'm starting reading the books. They're awesome. Big fan.
My point is, it's a Thursday night, and we're officially in sad season on the sports calendar.
Ugh. Did you watch the Pro Bowl?
No.
Not at all.
No. No Thursday night football, obviously. No Avs, no Nuggets. So
sad. I miss our Thursday night. We're watching it as it's going on.
Exactly. All right, it was fun for Dante and Anilo. I'm Will. It's DST on the Fan.
Tune into The Rundown with Richie Carney every weekday at noon on YouTube, Facebook, or X. Presented in part by The Birdie Bar, Louisville's premier indoor golf bar experience. Check out this week's live music trivia and other fantastic events at thebirdie.bar on the web and Instagram. Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
A family office is a team built to handle the three biggest financial responsibilities a family faces: wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning. Most firms only manage your investments and refer the rest out, hoping everyone stays aligned. At Trajan, we built something different. Your wealth, tax planning, and estate planning are handled together inside one firm under one roof. There's no guessing whether your CPA, advisor, and estate attorney are truly in sync, because our team works together every day on your behalf. When your financial life becomes more complex, your advice should become more coordinated, not more fragmented. One plan, one trusted team. Call Trajan today, 720-204-8100. That's 720-204-8100.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
One iced coffee?
$1, please.
For real? No way. One iced coffee?
$1, please.
For real? No way. What a deal.
Your new morning groove. Iced coffee from McDonald's, any size for just $1 until 11 a.m. Price and